The dry, sun-drenched climate brought Gary Shapiro to Arizona. 45 years later, Gary spreads his own warmth and sunny personality to his Scottsdale community. He's contributed immeasurably to Scottsdale's education, leadership, and business environment by lending creativity and innovation to each project he's embraced. Gary grew up in Rochester, New York. When it came time to go to college, Gary Shapiro decided to take this opportunity to escape the cold winters. Seeking a warm and friendly climate, Gary chose to attend Arizona State University in the School of Journalism and Mass Communications. Basking in the sun, Gary thrived, and his involvement in community affairs grew while taking an active part in ASU student government, college radio, and fraternity life. Gary maintains an active role with his fraternity, AE Pi, and in 1997 became International Supreme Master. After graduation in 1971, Gary's life took an interesting turn. Despite an offer to work at KTVK-TV, his attention turned to real estate, and he joined Tom Fannon's real estate office. Gary found his calling, helping families, selling real estate, and getting involved in Scottsdale activities. After 6 years and a promotion to the management team at Fannin, Gary opened his own real estate firm in Scottsdale. What Gary learned from the Fannin family was immeasurable, the personal impact a realtor can have on his clients. He realized that besides finding the right property, he could serve his current and future clients by taking an active interest in building and enhancing the Scottsdale community. Gary had already learned from his father, Arthur, about the sense of sharing and community connection. For almost 20 years, Gary shared his expertise on real estate in weekly columns in the Scottsdale Progress and East Valley Tribune. Continuing his community involvement, Gary joined the Scottsdale Jaycees. This afforded him the opportunity to participate in the West's most western town's Parada del Sol as chair of the 1981 Scottsdale Parade. Taking several innovative approaches, Gary provided the announcers along the parade route with a spiral-bound script so that loose pages would not go flying into the faces of the horses. As chair, he rode at the end of the parade, thanking all the spectators for attending the day's events. Gary later was invited to join the Scottsdale Charros, where he was involved with the sale of programs and helped shepherd the Charros to set a sales record of reaching $100,000 in revenues for the first time in their history. Gary also took on the challenge of getting the Charros active on the internet, as well as working on their scholarship and bereavement committees. He received their ultimate honor from the Scottsdale Charros in 2001, the David Hallstrom Life Award. There's also a different side to Gary that he attributes to his artistic and creative parents. She was an artist and he was a sculptor. For more than 20 years, Gary has chaired the Board of Directors of Board of Trustees for the Scottsdale Symphony, and he has sponsored a variety of art contests for students attending Laguna Elementary and Mountainside Middle Schools. Gary knew that if people wanted to make Scottsdale their home, the Scottsdale School District needed to excel. In the early 1980s, that meant having Scottsdale Unified School District deliver a school system that met and exceeded the community's expectations and better managing the school facilities. Gary chaired the Voters for Education Excellence Committee and successfully helped run the campaigns to secure voter approval. District residents passed the school bonds and override, thus permitting the repair of existing facilities and construction of 3 new schools. Gary Shapiro was at the opening of one of those schools. At Laguna Elementary, he was named an honorary teacher. Gary was also involved in helping the Scottsdale Unified School District celebrate its 100th anniversary in 1996 by working on their fundraising efforts through the use of Bob McCall's futuristic poster. Working with the city of Scottsdale has always been at the core of Gary's participation in his community. After attending Valley Leadership Class 5, Gary met with then City Council member Sam Campana to discuss starting a similar program in Scottsdale. to nurture passion and understanding for city and community issues with the aim of developing future leaders. Sam and Gary, along with Dr. Art Decabooter, president of Scottsdale Community College, and Don Ruff, Valley National Bank executive, created Scottsdale Leadership, a program that has motivated individuals to lead Scottsdale today and into the future. Celebrating its 25th anniversary in 2011, the organization has been highly successful, with many of its graduates serving on nonprofit or city boards, and a number seeking elective office. Because of Scottsdale Leadership and Gary's participation, nearly 3/4 of the program's graduates recently said they changed their career paths to include community service goals. Gary served as the president of Scottsdale Leadership in 1988 and 1989 and was the chair of the programs for the second and third years, attending every class meeting. With Scottsdale Leadership established, Gary moved in another direction to ensure the quality of life continued in the city. As chair of the Citizens for a Better Scottsdale bond campaign, Gary was instrumental in promoting passage of the 1989 bonds, which would provide funds for street maintenance and construction, water and wastewater storage and treatment facilities, and drainage and flood control projects. Gary knew firsthand about the problems with flooding when Indian Bend Wash was flowing. Gary quickly came to help in 1971 to fill sandbags for neighbors. The money from the bonds would also be used to construct new fire stations and police and fire training centers, and improve response time through a new police radio system. Recreational and cultural facilities would also be enhanced with new parks, bike paths, libraries, and baseball stadium. During the 1980s and 1990s, Gary promoted a better business environment in Scottsdale through service on the Scottsdale Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, the Scottsdale Partnership, and visioning committees. Gary Shapiro maintains his involvement in Scottsdale activities in a variety of ways. With Gary and Jill's son Doug attending Mountainside Middle School, Gary's work with the Scottsdale School District has taken on a personal connection, and he is passionate about enhancing the educational opportunities for all students. He shares that passion by serving on the superintendent's Blue Ribbon Advisory Board. As always, Gary continues to help those who make Scottsdale their home.